government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Got our South African guest, Tui Wessels. I'm going to bring him in.
Sure.
We missed him in the first hour, but for our audience, we're going to bring Tui in and we'll talk about what's going on in South Africa. Then we'll wrap this up in the end. If you can stay with us a little bit, Bill, is that okay?
Sure. I'll be happy to do that.
Okay, here we go. My friend, are you there?
Hello, Al Todd. I'm here. I do apologize for being late. I think it was a huge misunderstanding, but I'm here.
Oh boy.
Now.
Okay, you're breaking up a little bit, but Tui.
Hello, can you?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Are you there, my friend?
That's great. I'm just moving up to a higher altitude so that I can speak to you guys. I do apologize for being late. I think it was a huge misunderstanding about the time.
No problem, sir. So you're a farmer. You're deeply rooted in the land your ancestors worked. You're a patriot, devout Christian, and you refuse to stay silent in the face of oppression, according to the people who said I should interview you. So can you just give us an overview of what you're facing in South Africa, and we'll go from there?
Yeah, we're really having a difficult time in South Africa. Everything is currently set up against us. If it's in business, in your personal life, with the police, with everything is currently against us, especially against farmers. I think it's a worldwide occurrence lately that farmers and food production are under attack. I think in Europe, especially, that is the truth. But in South Africa, they are targeting us especially. I think, they will control the masses even better if they can control food production. In South Africa, that is no exception.
So it's very similar that you've been persecuted in South Africa by the government, but we had the very similar situation in the U.S. Do you see any comparisons to what happened here to what's happening to you? Because our colleague Brindy Wells said that they tested a lot of these methods in South Africa and then brought them to the U.S. What do you think of that?
Oh, yes, that's for sure. You guys, or we see what happened to Donald Trump after his last term ended. They prosecuted him relentlessly. And I think at this moment, the state is using all its resources to try and stop dissidents, people that have a voice, that are speaking out against the injustices that is taking place. So yes, the state and the liberals worldwide, because in South Africa, a lot of people will say, yes, it's the ANC, and that is true. But we also have liberals. Woke liberals are one of our biggest problems, I have to tell you. You will just have to look at what's happening in our media, and you will hear numerous voices of people that are saying, there's nothing wrong in South Africa. What are you guys crying about? South Africa is a great place. And this is a typical liberal that is still staying in a good neighborhood, that is totally disconnected from the average South African's sorrows and plight. And that's the thing. And I think it's the same in America. They're so disconnected from reality. And so you have these voices that are saying, no, we don't want help from President Trump. We are fine on our own. There's nothing wrong in South Africa. It's all fake news. So, yeah, I think that's happening worldwide.
So there's been a very high murder rate against South African farmers. And you're right, because in the U.S., especially in California, they have, the rich liberals have security. They can provide protect their families where the average man on the street can't. And you're saying that's similar in South Africa, but what has the government done or not done to help the white farmers protect themselves from, invaders that literally murder and torture and kill?
Yeah, and I think they are actually helping the criminals. They are making it more easy for them. For instance, let's say a criminal attacks me tonight and I shoot him. They will arrest me. They will prosecute me. And that has happened. That has happened before, where people were prosecuted criminally and they had to serve jail time whenever they shot and killed an attacker or even shot an attacker and the attacker walked totally free. There's this specific case that I'm very involved with. It's this two farm girls, poor girls, really tough girls, I have to tell you. They're farm all on their own. They have quite a big farm and their sheep is being stolen relentlessly, where they literally lose about 100 a month. And this time they became aware that there's criminals busy loading their sheep. So they caught the criminals. They arrested the criminals together with one other male farmer that arrived and to help. They took the criminals to the police station. First, they called the police station. The police didn't answer. Eventually, they answered, but they never arrived to come and collect the criminals. So the ladies took the criminals to the police station. They, upon arriving at the police station, the police immediately released the criminals and started accusing them of assaulting these criminals. The next day, the Hawks, a special unit in South Africa, comparable to the FBI, raided the girls' home, arrested them, kicked their door in. It was about 30 Hawks. So yeah, it's a real bad situation. I think this is the classic situation. And now they are facing charges like attempted murder, assault. Yeah, a lot of things. So yeah, it's really difficult for us because I think the government's actually aiding and making it even more difficult for us.
What about Tui, President Trump? He's made a very vocal plea to the government to stop this repression. He's kicked out the ambassador. He's stopped events in South Africa with American officials and really highlighted your whole plight and offered refugee status. What is the sentiment on the ground with the South African white farmer on Trump's efforts so far?
So there's, I have to tell you, it's mixed emotions. We all have mixed emotions about it because although we're really thankful, I have to tell you, it's still my home and I feel I need still to continue the fight till the end. But there's a lot of us that are currently in a really bad situation financially. You're either an inch away from living on the streets or in a homeless shelter or in a white squatter camp. So for that people, it is a great opportunity. I have to be honest about it because we can't save them. We can't carry them. It's nearly impossible to get a job in South Africa if you're white, especially if you're white. I mean, the economic is really doing bad and white people, they just aren't jobs for you. So yeah, because of that, it's mixed emotions. I have to tell you, we're really thankful because I think there's a lot of people that could be saved. And the latest number is there's about 70,000 people already that applied for asylum or refugee status. I'm not sure the exact, I think the terminology still need to be set out. And there's about 170,000 people I've heard that is interested on top of the 70,000. So I have to tell you, it's mixed emotions. It's about, so we could say it's easily about 10% of the population, white population in South Africa, that is going to make use of this opportunity. But I have to tell you, it is the right-minded, the conservative type of person that's going to make use of this opportunity. So you guys probably will receive a very well-rounded, God-fearing individual. And us that's staying behind, maybe in the future, I don't know what's going to happen in South Africa, but we that staying behind, yeah, I think the liberals will soon find out things are going to get a whole lot tougher on them as the focus is starting to shifting towards their side.
Bill, do you have any questions?
Sure. So here in the U.S., one of the things that we continue to hear is, at least stand up, say, call out the guys who are doing things badly, the bad actors. you are doing that now. Are you at risk by doing this, do you think? And how do you try to protect yourself? We've talked to others too that are trying to get the word out, and we need to understand the seat that you're sitting in at the moment. Is this literally a risk to you to speak up?
Thanks for the question, Bill. It's a great question. Yes, for sure. I have to tell you, nowadays I do carry my firearm everywhere I go. If you go out at night, I will maybe even carry something else with me just in case. So it is definitely dangerous. And there's also a lot of speculation, especially on social media. A lot of bad actors or militant blacks would make comments such as your family need to be killed, your wife need to be raped, or we're going to kill you. And since I'm a public figure, and a lot of people know where I live, it is obviously a risk. But there's also a real risk for your fellow white people that is more liberal-minded or just liberals. They will also attack you. They will make very bad remarks behind your back. I guess it's the same in America with the Democrats about what they are saying about President Trump. Every one of us can clearly see that what he's doing currently is working, and what he's doing is for the best for the American people. But yeah, they are saying it is terrible what he's doing. He's committing atrocious crimes and so forth. So it's a lot of, so I have two fears. But I think another real possibility besides crime is that the state is going to use the police, as they already did against me. I mean, I have a case that is ongoing. The trial starts 17th of June. So I was arrested, me and a fellow activist, and in which we stood up against what's happening in South Africa. And it's a totally political laden charges, because the police minister himself gave the order 2 weeks after the incidents took place to arrest us as well, even though me and the other three guys weren't involved in any way. We were just there to support our friend. He was arrested on the day. So yeah, it's definitely dangerous, I have to tell you.
Tui, you mentioned God-fearing people. I mean, we're focused on the plight of Christians around the world, in Syria and elsewhere, Nigeria. Have you felt any support from the global Christian community in South Africa for your people?
No, I have to tell you, Europe is really at this moment not. It feels like the whole world is silent on what's happening in South Africa. Till about a month or two ago, when President Trump first and Elon Musk spoke out about what's happening here, there was really, Katie Hopkins was the last person that really spoke out, a public person that really spoke out what's happening in South Africa and told the world and made a video or two about it.
Special report. Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
But yeah, though President Trump is really the first one, I have to tell you, and Elon Musk is the first really relevant, important people that is speaking out. So we're really thankful about that.
What is it that America could do and the West could do for you that would be most impactful right now to help your plight, and not just bringing people out, but to maintain your population and your community in South Africa?
Because so South Africa have a important, our location is quite important. In the old days, before the strait in Egypt, all the ships worldwide need to pass South Africa, need to go past South Africa. It's the most southern point that there is besides Argentina, but they need to pass South Africa or the Western Cape. So South Africa is very important in that way. Also, I think in Africa, because of how important we are a very important player. We are the biggest economy, even though it's really declining very fast. We were, before 1994, even till the early 2000s, first first world country. Now we are third world country. But I think we can actually offer something as well. It's not just what America can offer us. I want to make that clear, because a lot of people are always saying America needs to do something for us. But I think we want to help ourselves as well. And one thing I need to emphasize is that we need to be self-sufficient. We need to govern ourselves with people that have the same values as us. And our constitution actually makes provision for this to happen. That, like Orania, that there is a part of South Africa that can be self-governed by a group of people, a homogeneous society, as to say. And that could be culturally, that could be racially, that could be in any way that's made for provision. So I think if America can, maybe the best thing that they can do for us at this moment is to help those of us that are currently pushing this idea that we want to some sort of autonomy, and they can maybe pressure South Africa and also make this worldwide known. Because it is possible. It is really possible according to our constitution. And I believe that will really aid us a lot. And the main thing, they don't want to let us go. It's kind of like the Israelites in Egypt. The Pharaoh didn't want them there, but he didn't want them gone. And it's kind of the same that's happening with us now. They don't want us gone. And we have even said that, and that's quite a big percentage of the population. That's it. We will take the worst part of South Africa. That's in the Kalahari, that's in the Karoo, that's a very dry part. It receives about 200 millimeters of rain a year. We will take a little part of that, and they declined that as well. And I will tell you now, Orania has built it itself out to be something special. The property prices there is booming. It's really a very vibrant community, and it is in one of the driest and worst farming parts in South Africa. I truly believe we will be able to soon turn this homeland of ours, if it happens, into a vibrant economy that could actually aid and help the world.
Bill, you got any other questions?
Well, in that, you know, in that realm, when you think about changing the character of parts of the country, that would seem to include that you need to have access to the right technologies to make that happen, right? So is the government also kind of standing in the way of either the introduction or use of some of that to prevent you from being able to make that progress?
Yeah, Starlink is a good example of this, because I have very weak reception on my farm, and that's one of the reasons why I joined late. Besides the point, I joined late because I thought it's past five in South Africa. It was 4:15. I'm sorry about that, but I still joined late because my reception is so weak. I'm currently sitting on a hill between my cattle. I will probably show them to you just to get reception. That's how bad it is. And I have a very weak satellite internet at home, but it is poor quality. It's quite old. And if I maybe could use Starlink, for instance, there's certain parts of South Africa that could really be well connected for good money. And now it's impossible because of the government. And I believe that is also happening with a lot of other technologies, especially in farming, in agriculture, because it's so expensive to get that technologies into South Africa because of the weakness of the rand. Or, for instance, trying to get export your things or import something. It's near impossible. The harbors in South Africa is in a terrible condition. You wait months to get your stuff in, or your produce in, or let it out. So yeah, it's really difficult.
So, well, you have a very powerful friend in the White House that's South African, if you didn't know that. But so maybe Elon can help you out. But so let's talk more about your homeland, and there's a lot of misconceptions on apartheid and the homeland system in South Africa. Can you give us kind of an overview of what people get wrong when it comes to that, and what you really want as a Boer community, and how you want to be, protected and just be left alone and build your own community?
So I think the first thing that people need to know is not all black people were against the homeland system.
Mhm.
Actually, Bophuthatswana, which I think is 4 million hectares big, it's quite a big. It was a big homeland of the Tswana people. They had autonomy from the South African government, so they were handling their own affairs. They were against ending of the homeland system. They had a population about 1.5 million. 1.5 or 2.5 million in 1994. I'm under correction. They were all against it, and the population of South Africa were plus minus 20 million in 1994. So, and the Zulu nation were also against it, and they were about 4.5 million. And KwaZulu was the biggest homeland in South Africa, and they were also against it. They want to be governed, and thing is today the Zulu nation is actually calling to be self-governed again. There's a lot of actors within the Zulu nation. Even the king himself the other day mentioned it, that they want self-rule away from the ANC. They're angry with the ANC. And so the thing we need to understand, that's about 5 million black people that lived in that two homelands out of population of 15 plus million black people that wanted the homeland system to continue. So we need to understand not all black people were against the homeland system. And I think that's a very, that's a concept, that is something that people misunderstood. Apartheid is painted as a very bad situation that everybody was against the homeland system. There were mistakes made. I have to be honest about that. But we can learn about that. The whole system wasn't bad. There were some things within apartheid that really worked well. And one thing was there was before the white people arrived in South Africa, Mefakane happened. That 2.5 million Sotho people and Siberian Swana people were killed by the Zulu nation. It was a genocide. So when the Boers arrived here in the Free State where I live, it was desolate, lying desolate. Only a few people remained, and a lot of the Sotho people fled to the mountains. And there's till this day, I have Sotho people mostly that I associate with or that are working on the farms or for me, and they will always tell you they don't like Zulus. So the homeland system were a necessity to try and separate the different nations and tell them you can self-govern yourself, you can do whatever you like, you can protect your culture. So that is very misconception, I believe, that people have. It was not to try and separate people intentionally. It was to try and make peace in South Africa, try and maintain peace. And it was peaceful. If it wasn't for the ANC that committed terrorist activities and certain players within the international community actually aiding them, that it would have been peaceful. So yeah, that's my thought.
Well, Tui, thank you for coming on. We don't have but a few minutes left, but tell us where people can follow you. How can they stay in touch with what you're doing in South Africa?
So I do have a TikTok account. I also have an account on Facebook. So it's probably, I have an account on X, even though I'm quite new to it, I have to tell you, but I do enjoy X. The free speech is something else. I have to tell you, things have changed also for Facebook. Nowadays, I see people can say on Facebook, you can speak your mind. So President Trump really made a difference in this world. So please follow me on Facebook or on X or on TikTok.
Tui, thanks. I want to have you back down the road. Yeah, let's see your cows, man.
Yeah, they actually walked away a bit now, but you can see it's beautiful. It was really a bad thunderstorm just now. You can still see the water laying in the grass.
Yes, fascinating.
But it's beautiful. I really love this place. I have to tell you, it's my heart are here. I'm a patriot, so it's really I'm really saddened by the things that are happening and by the way it's taking place.
Well, we will ask our American Christian friends to pray for you, and hopefully we can have healing for all the peoples that are fighting this repression. But thank you for your time. We'll have you back. Take care, my friend. Be
Thank you
safe.
very much. God
Okay.
bless. Thank you. Bye.